Ushunin dinwe maganak, kanusum tigan disnakaz omosh kus nindodem. That's what my elders always greeted people with in their native language. What they taught me was that to always greet people in our language, not only to honor the families and relatives in which we have today, but also those that have walked before us. And so they've always said, first speak your language. Whatever language you have, please always hold it in your heart. And know that when you speak it, you're honoring many, many generations. And so that is why they have always presented things in that way. And that's the way that they role modeled and taught me to present things. When I was born back some 65 winters ago, my great-grandmother was there. And we are matriarch, and she is the head of our clan. I said in my beginning that my name is Talltree, Chief Talltree, and I am of the Black Elk clan of the Chippewa. And when she first held me in her arms, she would take and speak to me in the language. She said, "Are you Beneshi? Are you a little bird?" "Oh, no." "Are you a Washkeshi? Are you a deer?" No, you're not that. And she would continue for as long as it took, holding me just a breath away, just minutes, seconds from that first time when Note in the Wind gave me my breath of life. And so she lovingly held me in her arms. Her hair was long and gray. It turned gray in her 30s, and she always braided it. And she wore these long dresses. And her glasses, because her eyes had become tired, were very thick. But she still could see because she didn't always look with her eyes. And so she held me in her arms, lovingly, watching me in the first light of day, looking at me, speaking to me in our language. And she continued, and the food was made ready because this was going to be a celebration of welcoming me into this world by my people. And so she continued to talk to me. And then finally she said, "Kanusam tigan disnakas?" And I laughed. And she said, "Oh, that's who you are." And that was my name. And so when I started, people knew me in my nation, and my family knew me. But when I started working at the age of 11, I had to go to the government office and get a Social Security card. And they asked me my name. And they said, "What is your name?" I said, "Robert." They said, "What is your last name?" I said, "Kanosam tikan disnakas." They said, "What is that?" I said, "I can try to give you an idea, but I'm going to have to use a lot of words." I said, "Imagine a tree reaching to the heavens of the sky in all directions, with its roots deep within Mother Earth, a key, Mother Earth. And at times, maybe giving shade and comfort, and maybe sustenance to those that come near, with its branches strong and reaching out, and its trunk strong because storms will come so that it can bend and not break in the wind." I said, "That is my name." He typed, "Talltree." And so people today know me as Talltree, but now you know the name that was given from the spirit of my great-grandmother. So as I walked this journey, my mother, I knew my father only for a few years. He left when I was only about 2 years old. My mother said he held me in his arms and he wept. That was a very important factor. That was an important key. He never came back. She said he was Apache, and my mother's Ojibwe. Her name is Akwagishnaque. Her name is that point of time, right when the sun is about to set. And right before the sun disappears over the horizon, it's like everything stops to take a breath. That's her name. And so she watched over us, me, my sister, my baby brother. My sister lost her vision at age of 7. We lived in a shack with a dirt floor, had broken windows. I remember taking wet tissue, putting it into the cracks of the windows because they would freeze and prevent the wind from coming through. And I remember the old wood stove that we had that we used to heat that room and cook upon. I remember going out and playing in the snow, but I couldn't play with my brothers and sisters because we only had one snowsuit. And so I'd go out and play, and then my mother would look at her watch and say, it's time to come in. And then my sister would get out and go play. Then my baby brother would get out, and we could never get him back in. He never ran by a watch, still doesn't. But my mother knew that this was not the life that was good for us. And so she took it upon herself to take, and she had a vision. She knew that there was a better life for her children. So she took it upon herself to load all of her babies in the car. And I remember this as if it was yesterday. She said, there has to be another way, better, because other people were living like this in the shacks like us. And so she took every penny she had. I remember that she needed to do that, and it was really important. I remember when she came home from the 3 jobs, she worked 3 jobs, she only had a 6th grade education. And then when she came home, she'd make us a meal, and that was all we had was on those plates. And I could see that immediately, so I would always take and leave a little left on my plate. My brother, he was just a baby, my sister could not see that. But I knew that I could help that little bit. And so she loaded her babies up in that car, and we started our journey because she heard that there was a school in California, and we were in Michigan on the Mount Pleasant Reservation. And she heard by reading in this old magazine that they were letting blind children in the main schools. Because what they had then for blind children was to take and teach them to make brooms and cane chairs. They put them in institutions. But my mother was visionary, still is. And so she put her babies in that car, and we started our journey from Michigan. And we knew we didn't have enough money or food to get across, but we knew the great mystery would help us. And so we started on that journey. When she ran out of gas, she would take and work with the migrant workers. And she would pick whatever crop was around. I remember sleeping on bunks made of hay and the dirt floors and the stalls that were there with other pickers that were there and whatever was in season. I remember that. Standing upon that bunk hay with me and my sister sleeping on that, and my mother waking up in the morning with all the straw on top of her because we didn't stay still. And I remember when we were traveling, finally she knew she had to cross the desert to get to California. She knew she had to drive late at night. And so she started driving, and she saw this truck come behind her, and it started following her. And she was really concerned, and every time she would turn, it would turn. And she would turn again, and it would turn again. And finally, she got really angry. My mother's very strong. And she pulled into a truck stop, and she came up, and she banged on that truck. She goes, I don't know who you are. And he goes, wait a minute, lady. He goes, I'm just one of the truck drivers that saw you. A single woman with 3 little babies in the back, all alone. And I thought, great mystery, I can help. So I talked to all the other trucks. That's why it always seems like the same truck. We all work for the same company. And we've been watching you and your little babies. And he said, if you don't mind, little lady, I'd like to buy you and your babies a meal. That was the first time I ever ate in a restaurant. Never. He said, you can have anything you want. And I looked at the pictures and I said, I want this and this and this. And he said, you can have it all. And we had those things, and that was the first time that my belly was full. But I know that was because the great Mr. Kishimanadu, the Creator God, planted within people's hearts and minds to do the right thing. And I will never forget that. And every time I see a truck going down the road, I wonder if that is the son of one of those truck drivers that stopped and spoke those loving words to my mother, gave her a few dollars, and got us through the deserts. Today, I think about that. I think about all the good people in this world and know that they will do the right thing in helping other people. I know that the great mystery is always listening, but we need to take and speak and listen too. I know that when you do that, everything will work out. When she came back, when I got a little bit older, back to those homelands, she knew I still needed guidance. So she called upon the elders, Chief Little Elk, Chief Thurman Bear, Chief Pike Pelcher, Chief Pontiac, and called them. And they started letting me, allowing me, as a gift, to walk at their side. And I walked and I listened and I learned. And I watched them as they gathered herbs and plants. And I watched how they opened their hearts to all nations, all people, because they showed me the medicine wheel. And they said, this is the 4 original colors of humanity. And when we work together, our circle is strong. And so when we teach that way, because that's the way that they have walked that path before us, with the medicine wheel, the circle of life. Today I walk with my bride of 22 years, and she walks at my side, and so I'm a little more nervous because usually she's right here, kind of holding me up. Her heart is good. Her medicine is strong. And so when I speak to you, I only ask you to do the one thing in your life is don't second guess yourself. Maybe you're buying somebody a simple meal will change their life too. Maybe you're giving them a couple dollars will do that, or a kind word. My elders, those elders that I speak of, they said that all human beings have 3 arrows of power. The thoughts you think, the words you speak, and the actions you take are your 3 arrows. Use them well. Today I brought an instrument. It was created as a gift by a flute maker in Michigan. He said, Talltree, he called me up. He says, I bought one of your recordings. He goes, you play better than your flutes. I'll never forget those words. But he said, I'm a flute maker, but I don't play flutes. But I've been looking for someone to trick and help me on this journey that I'm taking now. And so he said, I'm going to make a flute, and I'm going to send it to you with one condition. I said, the other moccasin. He said, it's not a bad condition. He said, when you're done playing that flute, call me up and tell me what you think so that I can take and hone my skills in the making of this instrument. And so he sent me the flute. And a week went by, and a month went by, and 3 months went by, and finally he called me, and he says, did you get the flute? I said, yes. He said, why didn't you call me? I said, I'm not done playing that flute yet. He laughed, and he said, I have to be very clear with you, don't I? But he said that in our nation, we have the Chippewa, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi, the 3 fires. We all spoke same language, but a different variation of dialect. And he said there was a flute that was called the healing flute. And he said, as far as I know, there's never been another one discovered. But he says, I have been studying this instrument. And in our legends and stories, there's always a little description of it. And being a master flute maker, I think I have made one. And I am sending you the first. And he said, what this flute did for people is it healed their spirit. And when you heal someone's spirit, it heals their body and their mind and their emotions. And things start to take and not be so heavy. And this is this instrument here. And so as a gift to you all, I would hope that you open your hearts to this song that it will play for you. Because as you hear it, so will I. I'm watching the timekeeper. The timekeeper, I met this wonderful woman off and on for many, many years, and when she came and she said, would you do something for the community and help them out? And she's got a great heart, and so I said no. You can't always give the obvious. The one thing which my elders have always taken, and no matter where they are, and I know the Lakota Dakota Nation, their elders are the same way, is when things seem to get really serious, they will take and throw you off your balance. Every time, because they know that's a great medicine. And if we use that medicine in our life every day, it really makes a difference. I know that I challenged myself one time. I thought, I'm going to make someone laugh every day for a year. And that was my challenge. And I was working really good. I'd just say this or that, and it got to be like 11:30, and I had been working so busy, and I thought, oh, I'm here with my wife. That doesn't count. That's too easy. So we got in the car. I needed to go get some groceries, and I went to the store, and I went ahead and made a purchase, and I thought, oh no, it's getting really close. I've almost made this year. And then the cashier, you could see she'd been working. She was tired and everything, and she goes, you need to, she goes, it's $11.57. And I said, $11.57. I said, wait a minute. I said, this is really important because I know, and she's looking at me. I said, my mother always told me that I needed more sense. Got her. Creative. Because you can actually bring humor in your life, that medicine within your life, and not hurt anyone. We don't need to push anybody down. We need to pick them up. And that's what we need to always do in our lives, is to take and keep that in mind. One of our elders, and my wife has had many elders in her life, and she said that, when you see somebody that needs a little help, don't need to go up there and ask them, just help them. Don't have to put it upon them to take and ask you for that help. Just see that they need a little help and do it. And so I always take and keep an eye for those opportunities. I remember this when I was going to the post office box, and I saw this man who was sleeping inside the lobby because it was so cold, and I saw he had his hand open. And I thought, this is an opportunity, so I stuck some money in his hand. And I just kind of giggled because I knew that as soon as people saw him sleeping with that handful of money, there'd be a lot when he woke up. And so I knew if I planted that seed, that the heart of individuals would nurture it. And it's that easy for you to change individuals' lives. My name is Chief Talltree, Kanosam Tikindisnikas, Omash Kusnenderdem of the Black Elk Clan, Miigwech-Niboa, which is our word for thank you. But my great-grandmother said, Talltree, it is the best word that we can use, but in actuality it means all that you have given, I hold to the highest regard. Miigwech-Niboa.